Okay, Munchkins, it's Grandma Shannon here, and we are now on the 12th part of the book, and it is going to be the very last section. Now, remember, Geronimo scared the witches away by chicking them until the sun came up. So now we're going to find out what's going to happen with the Queen of the Fairies. 13 candies for Boils. Remember, that's the name of the chameleon. We took off after the last witch disappeared in the sky. I was feeling strong. I was feeling tough. Long live the Order of the Fairy Queen, I shouted happily, and then I heard a voice. I turned round and spotted Boils. I'm sick of working for those stinky trolls, he muttered to himself. And forget Cackle. She used me like a toothpick and threw me away. Suddenly, the chameleon grabbed my paw. How about if I work for you, your knightliness? I could lead you to the Queen of the Fairies, for a small fee, of course. I narrowed my eyes. What kind of fee? I asked suspiciously. Boils' eyes gleamed. Well, I'd love that bar of chocolate you have in your backpack, he said. I wasn't surprised to know that he had snooped. And there he is, offering to help. There's the castle. Okay, the candy's yours if you take us to Queen Blossom, I said. With Boils leading us, we soon arrived at the royal palace of the fairies. It was called Crystal Castle. It was surrounded by a thick green fog. How would we get inside? Luckily, Boils had already had a plan. The last time he'd come to the castle, he'd left a trail of candy behind him. 13 pieces of green candy, to be exact. We'll just follow it until we reach the castle, he said, and so we did. Finally, we reached the main doors of the castle. I gave Boils a chocolate bar from my backpack. He was so excited I thought he would shed his skin. I'll never forget you, he cried. And then he slithered away. A kiss from a knight in shining armor. The door to the crystal castle slid open without a sound. I took a deep breath. This was it. This is what we'd been waiting for. We're about to meet with the Queen of the Fairies. It's the moment of truth, the beginning, the final squeak. We climbed up the crystal staircase until we reached the sparkling crystal hall. In the center was a glittering crystal bed. The Queen of the Fairies lay on the bed. Her head rested on a pillow. She was in a deep sleep. She was very beautiful, but there was something strange about her face. She looked both young and old at the same time. Scribblehopper pushed me forward. Go ahead, Sir Geronimo, he said. Only a kiss from a knight in shining armor can wake up Queen Blossom. There she is in the bed. And there they are all looking. I started to protest, but as usual, no one listened to me. I looked at my clothes. I wasn't dressed in shining armor, but I did have on my best suit. Was it going to be good enough? Just then I remembered something my Aunt Sweetfur had once told me. Clothes don't make a mouse. It's what's inside that counts. My heart pounded under my fur as I kissed the sleeping queen's hand. In a flash, Queen Blossom's eyes opened. Dear knight, I knew you would come, she cried. She wept tears of joy. There's the queen. I bet this word right here probably says Queen Blossom. The golden rule of the fairies. Suddenly it began to rain. The rain cleansed the kingdom of the fairies. It washed away the green fog. All the fairies woke up at the same time. 1,000 lights sparkled around us. Rainwater poured down onto us. No one seemed to mind except for the gnomes, who took cover under a flowering tree. Secretly, I was happy to have a shower. Cackle's remark about my stinky fur had made me a little concerned. After all, I am not a sewer rat. When the rain ended, the rainbow lit up the sky. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It was amazing. At last, all the colors are in harmony, Queen Blossom said. And that is the secret of the kingdom. Harmony. In the kingdom of fairies, we all live in peace and respect one another. Here, the roses have no thorns, and no heart is filled with bad thoughts. All the fairies thanked us for saving the Queen Blossom, and then they recited the golden rule. Here's the golden rule of the fairies. And I don't have time to look it up right now. I think it says it on the next page. This tells the different fairies. Swell, Misty, Gale, Rustle, Luma, Pomegranate, Pumpkin Flower, Sparkle, Flash, Crystal, Whisper, Zip, Bloom, Screech, Teardrop, Sparkle, Illume, Tiptoe, Mimi, Roseanne, and Snowcap. Okay. Queen Blossom shook my paw. Thanks for saving my kingdom. How can I repay you? I've got gold, I've got silver, I've got an extra pair of fairy wings that would fit you perfectly. I grinned. The wings sounded like fun. I could fly to the office instead of taking the subway. I'd be the trendiest rodent on Mouse Island. There's only one problem. I wasn't on Mouse Island. I was stuck in the kingdom of fantasy. Actually, Your Majesty, I told Queen Blossom, all I really want is to go home. The Queen of the Fairies nodded. Your wish is my command, she said. The Frog's Secret. I said goodbye to the Order of the Fairy Queen. It wasn't easy. I felt like I had learned a lot from everybody. I hugged the gnomes and told Princess Scatterbrain to brush up on her geography. And then I said goodbye to Trick and thanked Blinket. I even hugged the giant. Well, I didn't hug him. I hugged his shoe. Meanwhile, Scribblehopper had burst into tears. I was flattered. I guess he was really going to miss me. I put my paw on the frog's shoulder. Don't cry, I said. I'll be back. There's the phoenix. But Scribblehopper shook his head. I'm not crying because you're leaving, he explained. I'm crying because I have a terrible secret to tell you. Scribblehopper poured out the whole story. It seemed the frog had a daughter. One day, Cackle had kidnapped her. The evil queen turned the frog into a bird, a red phoenix. I couldn't believe my ears. The red phoenix was Scribblehopper's daughter? Why didn't you say so before? I asked. Then I patted the frog's back. It's okay. I, Geronimo Stilton, will come back to free your daughter. Scribblehopper grinned and blew his nose in my tie. Rats! What would the cute mouse down at my dry cleaner think? Fair night. I have one more favor to ask of you, the toad sniffed. Uh-oh, I chewed my whiskers. What's next? Had Scribblehopper's mother been turned into a bat, his brother an ox? Luckily, it wasn't that kind of favor. The frog just wanted me to write a book about our adventures. I realize I'm not such a great writer. Just like using this feather pen, he admitted. He stared at the pen with a smile. I stared at the pen, too. It was nice. Maybe I should ask Santa Mouse for one for Christmas. After all, every author should have at least one nice writing instrument. The Dragon of the Rainbow. I was still thinking about the pen when a dragon landed right beside me. Holy cheese, it was one big dragon, had golden scales and a long, long neck. Dragon of the Rainbow, take the knight to the real world, Queen Blossom ordered. The dragon knelt down so that I could climb onto his back. Then the dragon took off, flapping his mighty wings. It let out a cry that sounded like 1,000 tinkly bells. I held on tightly to the dragon's neck. We flew high in the sky. I was afraid to look down, but when I did, I saw the most amazing sight. The 7 kingdoms of fantasy spread out below us like a colorful blanket. It reminded me of my great Aunt Ratsy's comfy cozy comforter. It was soft and warm. I yawned. I was beginning to feel sleepy. So very sleepy. I woke up. I was back in my dusty attic. My head was spinning. What's going on? I mumbled. I looked up at the window. The sun was shining. I looked at my watch. Holy cheese, time sure had flown. It was morning. Just then I noticed a music box. I paused, I lifted the lid. A sweet melody filled the air. And what was that smell? It was the smell of roses. It was the scent of the fairies. But the golden key was gone, and so was the scroll. Suddenly I remembered King Firebrand the dragon had seared onto my paw. I held up my paw. No mark, no singe, for it was gone. Was I feverish? Was I crazy? There's a music box there is in his attic. Was I headed for Dr. Shrinkfur's couch? Had it all been a dream? Well, maybe. I'd never know. But there was one thing I did know. I just had to write a book about the Kingdom of Fantasy. I hung a sign outside my front door. It read, Mouse working, do not disturb. I locked the door and shut the shutters. I took the phone off the hook. Then I sent a message to the Rodent Gazette. Please do not squeak to me for 3 months, it said. P.S. Yes, that's 3 whole months. P.P.S. 90 days. P.P.P.S. Yes, that's a long, long time. I turned on my computer and started to write. I wrote without stopping. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. Well, maybe I did drink a few mozzarella milkshakes and maybe munch a few cheese pizzas and nibbled on some cheddar melts just to keep me going. That was it. At last, the book was finished. I unlocked the door and ran over to the Rodent Gazette. I burst into the office. I've written a book, I announced. Everyone crowded around me. What's it about? What's it called? When can we read it? I grinned. Oh, how I love my fans. It's about a wonderful place called the Kingdom of Fantasy. It's a magical place with lots of strange creatures like dragons and unicorns and witches and trolls. I started to tell them about each kingdom, but it wasn't easy. I mean, how do you describe the song of the mermaids, the sweet smell of flowers in the Kingdom of Fairies? My cousin Trap perked up when I talked about the stinky trolls. That sounds like my kind of guys. I say baths are overrated. He chuckled. He waved one of his smelly socks under my nose. Hey, cousinkins, do trolls smell like these dirty socks? This is one of my favorites. I haven't washed it in a whole year. I tried not to gag. Have I ever told you my cousin is the most annoying mouse on the planet? Benjamin tugged my sleeve, then handed me a rose. Tell me again about the King of the Fairies, Uncle. Did it smell like this flower? He asked. It did, I told him. We printed lots of copies of the book and became an instant bestseller. I was so inspired by my adventure, I wrote a few songs about it. I asked some friends to help me. When we went to the recording studio and sang the songs, there was Cackle is Evil, Swimming with the Mermaids, and There's No Gnome Like My Gnome. I made a CD for everyone and gave it out for Christmas. They were a big hit. Look, there's a picture of the recording studio. It tells what all the different rats' names are. The next day, I invited Benjamin and all of his classmates at Little Tales Academy over to my house. I sat in my favorite armchair. Everyone crowded around me. Then I opened the book and began to read. So now he's going to tell everybody his story. And see, there's the back of the book that's got that code. So if anybody wants to break the code that we saw in the book, you just got to go get this book from the library and you can figure it out. This says, all dreams that come from the heart have wings. And that is the end of the story.